Chapter 19, Theater 9, Century 16 Theaters, Aurora, Colorado, July 20th, 2012. Some people fit their names. You look at them, you hear their name, you go, yeah, that fits. George Washington looked like a George Washington, and so did John Adams, dour, crabby, tough. Franklin Roosevelt looked exactly like his name. So did Mae West, though born Mary Jane West. Close enough. Joe DiMaggio, Michael Jordan, even Harry Styles looks like a Harry Styles. It fits. And then there's Sarah Ophelia Leah Copeland, born October 25th, 1970, to Clement L. and Henrietta Louise Copeland. Sarah Ophelia was their miracle baby. Clement was 51 and Henrietta 47 when she gave birth. They had always believed they could not have children and were stunned when Henrietta, after complaining of nausea and tiredness, came back from the doctors in shock but happy. Clement was a senior vice president with the National Life and Accident Insurance Company, which was the owner of radio station WSM in Nashville, as well as the Ryman Auditorium and the Grand Ole Opry. WSM stood for We Shield Millions, National Life's motto. Henrietta served on charity boards, was active in Republican politics, and spent quality time playing golf at the Governor's Club in Nashville. Although their lifestyle changed a little with the arrival of Sarah Ophelia, there certainly was no drastic departures, except for the hiring of a full-time nanny governess to take care of the incidentals like feeding, bathing, and diapers. Baby Ophelia would be brought out at events, parties, club gatherings. Folks would ooh and ah over her. She'd be handed back to Miss Jackie the governess, and life would go on. How did Sarah Ophelia become Sarah Ophelia? What possessed her rich parents to lay that name on her? Blame the godmother of Sarah Ophelia, Sarah Ophelia Colley Cannon, neighbor, friend of 25 plus years, daughter of a well-to-do long-time Tennessee family, college graduate, and in the late 30s a struggling young actress who invented and developed an alter ego of someone exactly the opposite of Miss Cannon, the hillbilly woman from Grinder Switch, Minnie Pearl. Sarah Ophelia the Younger would describe visiting Sarah Ophelia the Elder's huge home next to the governor's mansion in Nashville, just 5 minutes away from their own home, spending many wonderful hours with her, yet always marveling at the transformation that would come over her godmother when one of the tour bus of the stars' homes would come by. "Pardon me, Sarah," this genteel Southern lady would say, don her straw flat hat with the plastic flowers and $1.98 tag dangling from it, getting to the end of her driveway just as the bus pulled up. Bus door open, and out would step Minnie Pearl herself. "Howdy! I'm just so proud to be here." The fans would yell, "Howdy!" right back at her. She'd talk a little about Grinder Switch, Uncle Nabob and Aunt Ambrosia, thank them for coming, and as the bus went down the road, would head back into the mansion and become Sarah Ophelia the Elder again. And she was Sarah Ophelia, and all the connotations a name like that would conjure up. Sarah Ophelia the Younger? Not so much. Although Clement and Henrietta would have loved presenting Sarah into Nashville society through a debutante ball or a cotillion, there wasn't a chance in hell, in Sarah's words. It was not that Sarah didn't love her parents, or their lifestyle, or Nashville. It's true that her folks had a different way of showing affection, more monetary than emotional. Lots of toys when younger, then a pool in the back, then a pony, then a sports car. To their credit, Clement and Henrietta tried to include Sarah in everything that they were involved with, from an at the Grand Ole Opry, Sarah's most preferred event, and vacations all over the world. She loved Rome and real Italian food. Sarah knew her parents loved her, and she loved them too. She just hated what she called playing dress-up. Dresses, even sundresses, ball gowns, jewelry, fancy anything was just not Sarah's style. And starting on her 13th birthday, She wished to be called Leah. Thank you very much. She didn't like Sarah. Ophelia was too ornate. But she loved the people who named her, and she loved the talented woman she was named for. So Leah it was. Her parents balked for half a day until they spoke with Leah's namesake and were informed that it was both Sarah Ophelia's who worked on the name change, that Leah needed her own identity, and her namesake was just fine with it. Her godmother had helped instill in Leah that it was okay to confidently follow down a different path from what others thought. Her godmother's alter ego had inspired Leah to want to follow the same path, comedy. From the age of 15, Leah wanted to be a comedian. She wanted to do stand-up, like her godmother. Well, not exactly like her godmother. When Leah decided on her career, it was 1985. Sarah Ophelia had been Minnie Pearl since 1939, 46 years. Minnie Pearl was well known, even to casual followers of country music, Nashville, and the Grand Ole Opry. Minnie Pearl was a national treasure. However, Sarah Ophelia knew her time was coming to an end. And if there was anyone on earth she wanted to help succeed in the field she'd chosen so long ago, it was her goddaughter. There was agreement in the Copeland household that Leah would not officially begin her career until she finished college. That would ensure, her dad's word, that they would help her any way they could, including financially. She was a good student at Father Ryan High School, mostly A's and B's, so she didn't have any trouble getting into Vanderbilt, where she majored in drama and dramatics theater arts with a minor in English literature language. As she would explain to audiences later, in her chosen character, "Not only didn't I want to be afraid of you fuckers, but I wanted to learn how to write a joke most of you bud drunks would understand." There was also agreement that Leah was not going to be anything like her famous godmother. She was going to, with her parents' and godmother's help and support, develop her own comedic voice. And for the next few years, through local open mic nights and carefully selected gigs around Nashville, that's what Leah worked on. Her godmother provided 4 rules to remember, and never to forget that those 4 rules would change with each audience every single night, and to be aware of it and react accordingly. First rule was to connect with your audience, which seems simple until you consider that the audience changes every single night. Where last night's crowd thought the bit about your first beer, cigarette, puke explosion was a stitch, tonight's crowd might be a little squirmier. Leah would learn to feel that from the stage and change her set on the fly to keep the audience with her. The second rule was to be relevant, keep up with what's going on around her. As Sarah Ophelia would tell her, Minnie is relevant from 1939 until today. Minnie has changed with the world, not because of the world. The third rule was simple: pay it forward. One day, Leah, you'll be successful. When you run into other women starting their careers, help them. They'll appreciate it and hopefully provide you with a hand up if you ever need it. The fourth and most obvious of the rules was to always remember that you're playing a character up on stage. Keep the character consistent. Keep the character relevant. Keep the character fresh and funny, but don't ever forget that it's a character. You are acting. You are portraying whoever you decide you're going to be. Remember the restaurant's name. It was in Phoenix. She seemed to remember close to Camelback Road, and the servers were crass, crude, snotty, nasty. Caricatures of the tough diner waitress with the heart of gold. But in a nice way, in a wink and a smile kind of way. Telling you to move your fat butt over so they could sit down and take your order. Making fun of your clothes, hair, voice, mannerisms. Bitch if you wanted more coffee, tea, water. What Leah would later call TLBs, tender lovin' bitches. She'd also sell TLB tees and caps at her performances. She took that character and tweaked it to the south. A cigarette-smoking, Jack Daniels drinking, party-loving woman who took no shit, was nobody's fool, especially as far as men were concerned, and could give as well as she got, physically, mentally, verbally. Her onstage persona was Lee, not Leah, Copeland, and her comedy was partly set material, partly situational. An example of situational comedy turning into a set piece happened relatively early in her career. She came on stage wearing a leather jacket over a man's wife beater, a strap undershirt. Leah has what her parents called a full figure. She quickly noticed no one was giving her any eye contact. They were focused a little lower. "Hey boys," she whispered into the mic. "Look what your chick's looking at." Chuckles, then laughter, then applause. "You chicks better thank me tonight, because when you get home, all that horn dog next to you is going to talk about is, did you really like her titties? Huh? Did you? Huh?" That said in what she called her low, dumb guy voice. "And he's going to have the boner of death thinking about you chewing on these bad boys." Once it became part of her early career set, she'd then stand there and slowly zip the jacket up. "If y'all are good and laugh at everything I throw at you and promise to buy at least one item on the way out, at the end of my set, I'll let you peek at them again." Nods, laughter, applause. Leah would push forward in her career without the guidance and help of her mentor, her godmother. Sarah Ophelia Colley Cannon suffered a debilitating stroke just 1 month after Leah's graduation from Vanderbilt in June 1991. Although she would live in a nursing home until her death on March 4, 1996, Minnie Pearl was no longer available to Leah. Both of her parents lived long enough to see her become, if not Minnie Pearl and Roseanne successful, at least Joe Behar and Kathleen Reyes successful. After about 5 years of traveling around the comedy club circuit, including frequent stops in Nashville, so my daddy and mama can see what all that fancy education bought them. Then she'd introduce them in the audience, breaking character for 10 seconds to tell them how much she loved them. "Aw," said the crowd. "Shut the fuck up," said the comic. She got her first Comedy Central half hour, then a second, followed died of kidney failure at age 82 in 2001. Her mother, breast cancer, which her godmother had also contracted and had fought successfully, in 2003 at age 80. Leah took off several weeks each time to arrange their funerals. They were buried side by side in Woodlawn Memorial Park Cemetery, near two of Clement's favorites, Marty Warburns and Webb Pierce. Their deaths left Leah with a sizable fortune on top of the six-figure income she was generating for herself. Yet she never for a moment thought fun. Except for the occasional heckler and the even more occasional bad night, she loved performing, loved her fans, loved her fellow performers, always taking time to pay it forward to new comics, telling them about her godmother, Minnie Pearl, and all she did to help her. Even loved the traveling, especially since she was now able to make her childhood house, with the pool, the beautiful grounds, and all the warm memories, her base of operations. Leah turned 41 on October 25, 2011, as the headliner of a revolving group of female comics touring theaters around the South. It was during that tour that she started thinking of cutting back her schedule. Touring less, maybe opening a club in Nashville catering to up-and-coming comics. Kind of like a training center. Also someplace where she could perform when she felt like it, then go back home, nurse a beer. She didn't drink or party nearly as hard as she intimated. And sit in the hot tub, staring at the moon, listening to Johnny Cash through the piped-in speakers, alone. Leah had gone through her wilder-than-hell phase on the road. In fact, that was another teen cap set she sold at shows. Both men and women liked that one. Sometimes it was a guy from the audience. Sometimes it was a girl. And sometimes she lived out the fantasy she presented at that early show and went home with a couple. There had been drinking and drugs and much stupidity until she woke up one morning not knowing where she was between what she would describe in her act as the fattest, ugliest couple it has ever been my displeasure to sleep with. It wasn't until she slipped out of the room, got in her rental car, I fucking drove, and got to a gas station that she found out she was about 200 miles away from the club she was headlining. If she had racing to beat all hell to have sex with ugly fat people. That'll sober your ass up real quick. At age 33, she stopped the drugs, cut way down on the booze, and was much more selective on her partner choices. That's why she was alone and happy. July 2012 found Leah touring the West. She'd been to Arizona, Nevada, back through Arizona, then up into Colorado, where she was headlining at Stampede, a country bar and dance club in Aurora. July 20th, 2012 found the crowd sparser than normal. Leah, as part of the situation portion of her set during the first show, asked basically, "What the hell?" to the patrons there. She found out that the new Batman movie, The Dark Knight Rises, was opening at midnight at several theaters in Aurora, including the Century 16 at the town center of Aurora, about 6 miles away. During the second set, she threw an offer out to her even smaller crowd. Anyone that would take her to the Batman opening and bring her back to the club would get 2 T-cap combos signed by her and all the fucking popcorn you can eat. A young couple, John and Kelly, took her up on her offer. When they got to the theater, some of the folks in line recognized Lee and led her and her new friends closer to the door. Had they not, they would never have been able to purchase tickets for the premiere and find seats in the middle section of the theater with excellent sightlines. Leah always carried a small notebook wherever she went. As John and Kelly were chatting next to her, Leah looked around the theater at the moviegoers. This wasn't just any opening. These folks were into it. Costumed, face painted. Leah wrote down, "Star Trek convention made wrong turn. Sea of white folks," into her notebook, just as the lights went down at 12:05 a.m. Then a phone went off. "Tell him I'm not here," cracked the comic as those around her laughed, and a man in the front went out the side exit to take the call. Christian Bale and Michael Caine were on the screen as the guy came back from his call. Nobody noticed that he had donned bulletproof gear and was wearing a gas mask and carrying an AR-15, a pump-action shotgun, and 2 semi-automatic Glock pistols. There was one person who did notice. The person who could read faces at 50 yards and tell if a bit was working or not. The person who spent years refining the art of seeing everything going on in a room and turning it into humor. This person missed nothing. She saw the guy come in and thought, "Man, they're trying to make this real as hell." Then the guy threw a green canister in the air, the canister spewing what felt like tear gas. As the fumes hit Leah, she stood and yelled, "What the f-?" At that moment, the guy fired his shotgun in the air, pumped, and then fired it at the lady screaming at him. When he aimed, Leah started diving to her left. She was caught with pellets from her hip to the top of her head, knocking her cold. Leah woke up dazed and groggy in the medical center of Aurora. The right side of her body bandaged, her head almost completely covered on the right side. The first thing she saw was a nurse sitting next to her, holding a sign. "Don't try to speak. You've had head surgery. Please be still." The nurse then turned it over and wrote, "Do you understand? Just nod." Leah nodded. Even that hurt. The nurse called for the surgeon, who came in a short while later. "Hi, Lee. I'm sorry to meet you like this. I'm a big fan." Leah gave him a small nod. "I'm Dr. Smallage. I was the one who operated on you. The good news is that you're alive. This monster killed 12 people, including John, who was sitting next to you. There were 70 wounded, including yourself. Most of your wounds were clean. We were able to remove 15 pellets from your right hip up to your shoulder. It's the 5 pellets that hit your head and face that did the most damage. Several pellets hit the facial nerves on the right side of your face. We won't know the final damage for a few days, but I want you to be aware that you may have either some facial paralysis, facial sagging, perhaps even a combination of both on the right side." Leah knew what that meant. If a crowd can't keep from looking at tits, how could they pry themselves away from a disfigured face? She could feel a tear sliding down the left side of her face. And John. "I know, Lee, I'm sorry. I'm hoping for the best. Please keep your head as still as you can. Patty, would you provide Leah with something to write on so she can communicate with us? The nurse gave Leah the dry erase board she'd made the sign on, along with a black pen. Leah took the board, motioned for the doctor to wait, and then wrote the following. Thanks, Doc, for saving my life. Jack Daniels transfusion, please. The doctor and the nurse broke up. Leah, you're remarkable. He turned to walk away. She tapped on the board. Yes? She wrote, my name is Leah. Leah recovered with permanent challenges to the right side of her face. She ended her stand-up career, opened a comedy club in Nashville. Lee Copeland's Laugh, damn it. It became a proving ground not only for aspiring, new and growing comedians, but also a place for big names to quietly try out new material. The great part about playing Laugh, damn it, was you got to stay at Leah's house with the boss herself. The food was great. The house was always full of comics trying out material. Leah would try to help as much as she could, speaking slowly out of the side of her mouth, looking for all the world like a young stroke victim. She would be in her room at night, listening to the muffled chatter by the pool and the hot tub, especially when her peers were in town. Oh, you should have heard her in their prime. Funny. Jesus, she was funny. Could read an audience better than I've ever seen. It's a shame. It sucks. It fucking sucks. When she first made it back home, she literally handed every piece of mail she received to her manager. Here, you handle this. And he did handle it, except for the get well cards and a slightly oversized card with a Columbine, Colorado dateline. He had lost a daughter through the Virginia Tech shooting. He was VT 24. The opening line of the card spoke for many Americans. Dear Leah, thank God you're alive. Our country needs you and your sense of humor right now. She followed the directions, became Aurora 51, and took advantage of as much free counseling as the site would offer. Aurora 51 was the third batch of names Navy Yard 14 got when she began mentoring. Maxine and Leah would meet quite a few times at Nashville International Airport when Maxine had layovers or a few hours to kill between flights. It's because of their developing closeness that Leah was on Ray's list. Once Ray and Henry were done, and Leah was confirmed next on the list, Maxine quickly looked at her schedule and blurted out, Holy shit, Ray, I can get you to Nashville now. Head to Gate 4 at the Delta Terminal and I'll make a few calls. Ray headed to Gate 4, told the counter person who he was. He told Ray he was all set, gave him a boarding pass, and a few minutes later he was in first class, being treated like a king. Maxine texted him, Leah will meet you at Gibson Cafe, Concourse C. Ray's text back, What the hell? Maxine called in a few favors, followed by a heart and a smiley face emoji. Ray arrived at about 5:57 p.m., headed to the Gibson Cafe, and recognized Leah from the left side of her face. Maxine warned him not to make a big deal of her features, to just concentrate on the plan. Hi, Miss Copeland. I'm Ray Wilson. Leah looked around. Who the fuck is Miss Copeland? I'm Leah. Ray laughed. Leah, you speak my language. Not as good as I used to. It's okay. You can look. You're Maxine's pal, so I know you're okay. It's kind of amazing. I've seen you perform. The idea of you and Max side by side. Oh, it's not hard to see at all. You call her Max? Yeah, she looks like a Max to me. Ha! Yeah, me too. She does look like a Max. Sure got the mouth of one. Nasty chick. Both laughing. Okay, Ray Wilson, let's hear all about this plan you've got. For the next 2 hours over dinner, Ray presented the plan. Leah studied him, watching every movement, every nuance. He didn't formally ask her to join. Dinner over, dessert eaten. You're quite the salesman, Ray Wilson. Just one thing you forgot to ask me. Leah, I didn't forget. I was waiting to see if you brought it up. Smart, Leah thought. This guy could be in my racket. Okay, Ray Wilson, give me one reason I should join your merry band of marauders. I can give you one, Leah, but I know Max loves you. You've kind of grown on me, too. Yeah, like fungus. Max knows why I'm sitting here with you. I'm sure she's told you, and that's okay. Go ahead. Give me the reason. John. Leah stared hard at Ray, her eyes filling with tears, the right side of her face sagging a little more. A tea-cap combo, Ray, cost me $9.36. Cost him his life. Leah, they already had tickets. Ray, We, John, his girlfriend, and I were let in toward the front of the line. The reason, Ray, is because I'm so fucking famous that people do shit like this for me. They never would have been in that theater without me. Those fucking kids would have been married by now. She dissolved, put her head on the table for a while. When she looked up, Ray was holding a handkerchief towards her. The last of the great gentlemen. Thought that shit went out of style years ago. Not with me. Okay, Ray Wilson, I'm in on one condition. Shoot. That's a shitty choice of words. Laughter. You have no escape plan, Ray. Say you give me and 3 other people XYZ to do. We do it. There's nothing left for us to do. So let's get the fuck out of here and not be killed or in prison. Follow me? Yep. So I need to know that there's an escape hatch available to me and everyone else. If everything goes as planned and we can beat feet, it'd be nice to know we have at least a shot at survival. Can you promise me that? That's a great point, Leah. Yes, I can promise you that. I will have a detailed escape plan ready. By that day, that'll be available to everyone. Great. I'm in. Ray called Maxine from the phone. Hi, she's in. Did she bring up an escape plan? Oh, you knew about that. Of course, I thought it made sense. If someone has done what they're trying to do and they've got an opportunity to escape, then get the fuck out. Absolutely. By the way, she likes Max too. Great. 2 of my favorite people butchering the shit out of my name. Where am I headed, Max? Tucson, Raymundo. The Gabby Gifford shooting. Tucson, 40.